That'll be right.
And we are live.
Hi guys, welcome to our 39th YouTube live session. We're here in Pocklington. Probably our biggest audience in quite a while, actually. My name's Wayne, I'm MD of Brew York. This is Lee.
Howdy.
Production director of Brew York.
So it's thrown me. It's just, we're supposed to be projecting it over here, yet that seems to be a holding image.
Yeah, technology. I told you we were going to get a technology issue.
Okay.
So, as we said, we're here in Pocklington. We're trying to do a little bit of a road trip, I guess, to take things on the road and show you a little bit more of Brew York over the next few months. So we welcome to our subscribers who are either in the room or joining from home, and welcome to everyone else just tuning in. Hopefully you've got some beers in front of you. We're going to go through a few of them over the next maybe hour and a half, more like 2.5, but hopefully we'll keep it as brief as possible so you can ask questions and you can enjoy some more beers while you're here in Poc. If you've not been here before, you might see Pete gracefully dancing in front of the camera in a second, climbing over the customers.
There we go.
We're trying to distract ourselves with a
technology issue number one resolved. Well done, Pete.
So there we go. There we go. So we're hopefully technology's resolved now. Hopefully you can hear us all at home and in the audience. It's all sounding okay. So it's obviously a Wednesday night. So Thursday's busy night in Pocklington. We have the quiz. So we decided to come down on a Wednesday. Usually a busy night anyway, but want to give it a little bit of a boost and come and say hello. Next month we're going to be going to Leeds. So we're going to be doing it from Leeds. We're going to be streaming on a Thursday night. So it's Thursday the 9th of November. So if you want to put the date in the diary, if you want to travel across the Leeds and join us in person, you're more than welcome. The tickets will go on sale again soon. So it's hopefully a bit of a bargain. You get to try these 4 brand new release beers, and you get the, I guess, joy of our company for a bit. I don't know if it's joy, but we'll find out by the end of this session.
You might be stretching it a bit there.
We've got no collab partner this month. We have brewed a couple of collabs, haven't we? We just haven't actually managed to get anyone on the site at the same time as us doing the streams.
Yeah, that's it. We went through a long period of trying to synchronize the brews with these YouTubes, but people in the industry are busy, and we had to do a number of reschedules, so it's not quite worked. It's something we'll get back to doing in the future. But it's not going to be a case of every time it's going to be just us or every time it's going to be with someone. We're going to keep mixing up the format as well as the location.
I bet you didn't realise you'd signed up to be on the stream for the whole video. Well, there is a plan. I can give you my stool if you want to sit over there, and I'll flip this bench and I'll sit on that if you'd rather be off stream. It's completely your call.
Oh,
yeah. No, you're all right. Exactly.
We can introduce you as a guest presenter.
So, if you're watching from home and you've got the beers in front of you, make sure you get the Biscoff Don Coco out of the fridge now. Needs a little bit of time to warm up so we can enjoy it later on. Anyone in the audience, you've got your cans, put it under your armpit, warm it up. It's going to taste even better after that. If you like the video, please hit like or subscribe to the page. We don't do it for monetary hits. We just do it for our social media feedback and our marketing reviews.
No, what we really do it for is to get a thumbs up from Pete, because he gets really
there we go.
He gets really annoyed if we don't say hit the like button and subscribe. So we've both done it now. So is that a double thumbs up? There we go. Thank you. Right, so as always, we're going to be sampling 4 beers. The first of which is going to be this beer here, Terra Hawks, a collab we have done with Jerry Anderson TV, famous for Thunderbirds, Stingray, and Terra Hawks. So celebrating its 40th anniversary, so hence why that beer's come around. Details on that one coming soon. The second beer we're following that up with is the latest in the Juice Foresight series. So we've now done a dark fruit twist. We've got blueberry and blackcurrant this time round. Next after that, we've got one of mine and Wayne's favourite styles of beers, ones that we don't get to do very often because they generally don't sell very well. We've got a red IPA called Red Panda, 7.1% now on. And then we're going to conclude at 7.5% with the latest in the Tom Coco series. It's called Biscoff Tom Coco, a nod to a very famous caramel biscuit treat that you might enjoy with a coffee.
And I know we've already done a quick switch the audience can, but if he could just switch back, I just want to quash this rumours that people don't drink on a midweek night, because I think we're proving them wrong in Pock tonight.
Thanks all the way, guys. Cheers.
Nice. So also in your box this month, you will have had the Tooth and Claw Strata Cold IPA into the stratosphere that was promised for last month and didn't arrive. So you've got that this month, but we've not entirely bailed ourselves out, because this month we also failed to deliver you a promised beer. You were supposed to get the Stone Crowed Fest beer this month. For miscommunication issues, we'll call it that, it's not made it into this month's box, but it will be in next month's box, at which point Simon from Real Old Craft Beer will be joining us across StreamYard from Barry in Wales. So that's that. So as always, each time we're going to be talking about the beer, the concept behind the beer, the recipe, the ingredients, why we've called it what we've called it, why we've done the design as we've done the design. And we need this to be as interactive as we can possibly make it for your enjoyment and ours. So we need you to get your questions in the room. That's dead easy. Put your hand up and we'll come to you as soon as we can. Online, you are able to post your question below the feed. And as Peter's just doing there, he can pop your questions on screen, providing they're clean enough. And we are also going to be discussing what we call specialist subjects with each beer. With beer 1, we'll be talking about our highlights of the previous month. With beer 2, we'll be giving you some insight into our 2024 planning process, a few things you can expect from us next year. Q3, we're leaving open as we did last month for Q&A. We thought that worked really well last month, having that dedicated section for Q&A. And we thought having so many people in the room today, this is your prompt guide. You are going to be called on later to ask questions. So we hoped if we left a dedicated section there that you guys would be able to fill that. We will see. And then we conclude with beer 4 by talking about what is coming up in terms of the beers in your box and the events you can find us at in the next few months. If you have any feedback or you want to be in the audience, you can hit us up at info@brewyork.co.uk.
So first beer. Everyone's got it by now. Hopefully you've got it poured and in front of you. It's the Terra Hawks 40th anniversary special. So people at home or people in the audience will probably notice the can's slightly different, not only because it's not got a label on it, because it's a fully printed can, but it's also slightly different design to our normal labels. This is the challenge we've got at the moment, in that we're bringing out a slight revision to our branding, but it isn't ready to roll out fully yet. So some of the beers are coming out in the new format, some of them are in the old format. Don't worry about the fully printed cans versus labels. Labels are coming back. This was a temporary measure intended to help us out with our stockpile of cans that we have. So fully printed can, we can take an existing core beer, we could fully print over that can, and you wouldn't be able to tell it was the original core beer. So that's the intention. That's the reason why we went down that route. So don't worry, the labels are coming back if you like to collect them. Yeah. And if you really want a Terra Hawks Collector's Edition label, if you ask Pete nicely, he might be able to sort you one out, because we do have a few of them.
Yeah,
so,
we were going to ask you at the end of this section what your thoughts were on versus the label versus the printed can. But I understand on the Facebook group, I need to put my teeth in tonight, Facebook group, that you've all made your opinions quite clear already. And you want the labels back and you're not overly keen on the printed cans. So that is the direction. We've got a few more printed cans coming out. They were already ordered. Not a lot we can do about that. But we will be back to labels by the end of the year.
So the beer we're drinking, it came about from the fact that, if you remember, maybe 18 months back, we brought a beer out called Captain Strata and the Nectarons.
That's the one.
Which was a Strata and Nectaron hopped pale ale that we looked at Captain Scarlet and thought this is going to be well, I think John and the production team came up with the name.
It was John. It was John who came up with the name for this one.
And the same John that I just mentioned.
That would be the one. No, you said John and the production team.
It was John from the production team.
It was entirely John, this one.
And then United by Design, our branding guys, came up with the design of the can, which was very much the Captain Scarlet image with just a different color and they're very much the style we've done on here. So
yeah, we kind of thought, because Captain Scarlet had a red uniform, if we put him in a green uniform, that'd be enough to get away with it.
The beer hadn't even launched, and Jerry Anderson's son dropped us a message saying he loves it. Any chance we can send him some, and can we talk about doing something in the future? Which is a really nice approach to have for potential.
It beats all those
copyright
cease and
infringement.
desist for a start, doesn't it?
Exactly. So we started having the conversations, and it came up that the Terra Hawks was about to celebrate its 40th anniversary, which instantly gave me childhood trauma, because I remember this specific TV show as my punishment when I was naughty as a kid, because I was absolutely terrified of Zelda. And
That one there.
And thankfully, this is not too bad. When you Google Zelda Terra Hawks and you look at the imagery, there's no wonder I was petrified. It's horrible, horrible puppet. And but they suggested it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it'd be great to do something like this. And the more we talked about it, they really liked the beer we did before, the Captain Strata beer. So they wanted to go down that route if possible. And then the more we went over different things, we wanted to actually celebrate the anniversary properly. And this was a post that they came up with. So we passed it on to United by Design, who put it into our stylistic format. Unfortunately, the printed cans don't quite do it justice. The labels are so much more clear and crisp because they're able to capture a better resolution. So it looks great, but it looks even sharper on the labels, which is probably another reason why we want to use labels again. But the beer itself, same base beer, isn't it? So pretty much as Captain Strata. The backbone of the beer, for the pale, the malts and the oats and the oats, wheat, and malt that go in there are very, very similar.
You caught this thing,
I was going to say, you've passed me your teeth. And we use Strata and Nectron again, so it's same two hops, but we've actually gone with a Mosaic as well in this one. So
I was just laughing.
He's watching TV in the background.
No, I've got Alan Robinson, who I'm assuming is Alan Thornbridge, soon to be Alan Brew York, has just asked if you would need a hug because of your fear of this puppet.
Not from COVID, Alan. I know. Alan's our new sales guy. He joins us on Monday, and he just caught COVID at Indie Man, so I don't want a hug from Alan. So the beer's easy drinking. It's 5.5% and doesn't quite taste that strong. Nice and tropical, nice aroma on the beer, and it's a hazy. So we haven't really talked much about that so far on today's stream, but hazy beer is typically much better suited to retaining the hop character and the aroma, and a bit of an easier drink than some of the styles that we particularly love, the more bitter and piney resinous stuff. So it works really well. We launched it a week ago, and Daisy had it on in Hanley Tap last weekend. It was pretty much, I think, all I drank. I drank about 3 or 4 pints in a row. It was really enjoyable. So kind of like I am with the cask. Make it Citra tonight.
So small confession, it wasn't meant to be 5.5%. So yeast, obviously being an organic organism, you kind of think you know what it's going to do each time. And most of the time we're right, and sometimes it likes to surprise us. And this was one of those times when it decided it didn't want to give up on eating the sugar, and it kept going and it kept going. So this was supposed to be slightly under 5%. It's ended up at 5.5%, but I'm sure you're not going to argue over that extra little bit of buzz.
A little bit of sugar at it. So when it does that, the beer typically ends up a little bit drier than we intend, because the sugar's been eaten up. But because the style's quite a sweet style anyway, you don't quite notice it as much, so it hides it relatively well. So I think I'd probably prefer the extra 0.5% than the residual sweetness, if I'm honest, because that's the style that I like more dry beers.
You'd say that with or without the sweetness, though.
Exactly. You give me another 0.5%, go for it. Yeah. But then I have to pay more tax. So no, I don't like tax.
Or parting with money.
Or parting with money, full stop, exactly. So the other thing about the can, given that we've put the sneak preview out there now, it's not so sneak when it's in front of your hands, is it? A couple of little distinct changes you'll see on the beers. So on a collab series, you'll see the Brew York versus whoever we're collabing with. Typically, it'd be Brew York first because it's our beer, but given it was a celebration of their 40th anniversary, we put the Anderson logo first, and you'll have this cream section more prominent in our cans going forward, where you'll see the Brew York logo or who we're working with. And then the other element that'll be consistent across most of the cans is this very, well, I guess, adaptation to what we currently do. So you've still got the spider wheel for to find the information about the taste of the beers. We've kind of condensed the information a little bit to make it a bit more concise and punchy. And then we've taken all the boring stuff that no one in this country reads, which is the foreign allergens and the barcode, and put it in its own little section. So hopefully it's a bit more succinct and gets the point across that we're trying to raise. And we've started focusing a little bit more on what the beer should taste like. So we've got tasting notes or specific flavour characteristics. So this one's got the peach, passion fruit, and citrus. And hopefully you'll start noticing that these descriptors are quite reflective of what the beer tastes like. So they're the back of can changes. And then the other thing we're doing is having a little tab on it to explain what part of the range it is. So this one's one of our collaboration beers. We have our signature range, which shouldn't need to say it's a signature range because you'll see it all the time. And then we'll have our limited edition releases and our
like re-releases.
Re-releases.
We're not calling it
we
extended editions. Is it something? Right.
Someone from marketing will have to tell us soon.
We do know this stuff, honestly. So it's a bit of a shame because we were hoping to really optimize this collaboration opportunity, and Pete did get to go down to the launch event in London where he was hobnobbing it with some of the UK's finest marketing executives. And we hoped the reciprocal part of that would have been them coming to York with some of the puppets and the voice actors. But unfortunately, we weren't able to quite make that work. And I was so looking forward to seeing your physical reaction to Zelda when it was actually in the room.
Well, part of the challenge is that there's the actors strike or writer strike, and the voice actors and everyone else were on strike when we were supposed to be having this launch party. So it's hard to do that when half the key attendees can't make it down. So unfortunately we didn't get to do that, but I'm kind of quite pleased. I didn't really want to see that puppet in real life.
We will find another way, another time of making that happen.
The re-release.
So we'll move on from the first beer. Get your thoughts in. Pete will pop a few down the bottom of the video stream.
Don't worry, we're still drinking the beer for a little bit more. You don't need to rush your beer. But we'll move on to some questions or some highlights.
No, we'll move on to highlights. You're jumping ahead there. So highlights of the last month. Professionally and work-wise, what have yours been?
Professionally and work-wise.
That would be one and the same thing.
Yeah, personally, you probably wouldn't
work-wise.
believe it, but it was my 42nd birthday a few weeks back. I don't look a day over 41. But I got a long weekend off, so me and partner Sal went across to Haworth, which is where the Brontes were born and raised, and there's about 15 pubs in the village. It's great, so I highly recommend going there. So that was my personal highlight.
You went there last year, didn't you?
Yeah, same time actually, birthday last year.
It's a massive tourism place because there must be like 400 people live there, and there's like 15 pubs.
It's really, really popular. So
either that or they're definitely our target demographic.
Yeah, pretty much. Work-wise, I went across to Edinburgh 2 weekends ago for the Gravity Festival. That was a lot of fun. And then, but it was really cool. On the Saturday of the festival, I also went across to see Colin and Leah. So Colin used to be the manager at Pavement Vaults in York. He moved up to Edinburgh about a year and a half ago now, and has been running a few pubs up there. And the one he's at now, I will not remember the name of on live stream. I'll remember it in about an hour, I guess. I'll say the name of it when I do. Went across there, met the guys. It was a lot of fun, and had did a little bit of a meet the brewer, and then went back to Gravity, served a bit more beer, and then did a tasting in an old veterinary lecture theatre. So it's a veterinary college, which is crazy. It was just such a really unique space to do it in, and I had a very, very drunk Scottish guy talking to me, and I couldn't understand a word he was saying throughout. So it was very much a nod and just answer the question I thought he was asking. And it was going well until after the fourth beer, this same guy just yawns really, really loud. Like everybody in the room just turned around and started laughing. It was just like being at school. It was just so surreal. But it was also quite amusing. So that was my personal.
Vote with your feet or vote with your mouth. Eh?
Exactly.
Did you mention Leah then as well? Because
yeah,
Colin's partner Leah. If you've been in our centre of York venue, the original tap room, that mosaic that's painted on the back wall, that was painted by Leah, who was a graphic artist.
Yeah. And a few other bits and pieces for us. Mainly a lot of the original chalkboards, which we won't paint over because they're just so good. So you got in Hanley now. There's the brewing process chalkboards. So she did that one and a few others. Got you.
So I would say my personal highlight, which is still a little bit work related, would be when we got to go to the Super League Women's Grand Final on Sunday, and we saw the Valkyries win. Incredible. Leeds, to be fair, were a little unlucky. Had they taken the chances, it could have been a different result. But Valkyries, as they have been all season, were incredible. They've gone undefeated all season in the league and then won the grand final. So yeah, amazing that we have an association with the club, one that we're hoping to further next year, and to see the ladies do that, yeah, that was quite something. And then work-wise, having an afternoon with Chris Kamara, absolutely. That's not really work, is it? But yeah, Chris is everything you would imagine him to be. He is the humble, really, really nice, jolly guy, and really looking forward to the project that we're going to be doing with him in time, which we can't share details of yet, but we will be able to probably in the early part of next year.
Probably later tonight once Lee's had a few minutes.
Probably. And then, Pete, you got your microphone on.
I do indeed. I don't know if people can hear me at home, but I have mic'd up this evening for the first time ever.
So Pete is our marketing manager for anyone who is joining us.
You need to switch camera, Pete, and get yourself on camera.
You can go to.
We have this second camera tonight.
You need to wave as well so people can see who you are.
There we are.
So, what has your highlights been of the last month?
Oh, it's been a busy month. Went to a couple of weddings, which are really nice. But yeah, also had a day trip out to Manchester a few weeks back, which is really cool. Got a chance to explore a few of the craft breweries out there, including Track, Cloudwater, and Showshot. It's first time going to those.
Triangle.
Yeah, it was pretty damn good.
And is the Track tap room as good as everyone says it is?
Yeah.
I've not made it yet, but apparently it's spectacalar.
Yeah.
Have you noticed their food service zone might be a little bit similar to Hanley's new food for service zone?
Okay. All the best ideas are stolen, eh?
I'll tell you my favourite thing about Showshot, and this is like, I was so happy about this. They had a projector like similar to what we've got literally in the room right now. But instead of showing sports, instead of just showing like music videos, they were showing just like a gameplay through of the original Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time game. So I don't know if there's like any gaming nerds out there watching it, but it was literally just a playthrough of that. And I was like, oh my god, the nostalgia is hitting me hard right now. So yeah, never seen that done before in a bar.
At least they weren't playing.
I've not seen that,
Terra
but
Hawks.
when we were in Tampa Bay and we went to Magnanimous, they had 4 screens, and one was showing reruns of Baywatch, one was like reruns of WWE, one was Bob Ross doing his like art thing, and then what was the other one?
I can't remember. Joanna at the back probably.
Oh no, the other one was hockey. Hockey's massive out there.
Huge.
Ice hockey, yeah.
Apologies, I've just seen a few comments saying they can't hear me properly. I'm going to hold this a little bit closer to my face now. I hope you can hear me now. But yeah, so work highlight. I don't know if anyone's noticed on YouTube, we've got a brand new video series which we've been working on. So,
Panda facts.
And that's all work. So yeah, the story behind that is it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time now. Obviously, we do this every month, which is great. You know, we always get a really good reception. But yeah, wanted to do something different to show off some of the other members of the team and get into some more beers, because we release so many beers, we don't always get the opportunity to try and hear them on the live stream. So it seemed like a good opportunity to do that on YouTube. So 3 episodes in so far. And just recorded another video today across at York Dungeon for our next spooky day. So yeah, watch this space. We'll hopefully get something out over the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to Pete who's been doing that. That's been his kind of solo project. So we've had Ali did Dark Fruits, Yusuf's done Red Panda, and Sam started us off with which one? Biscoff on Coco, which we'll be concluding with today. And Sam set the bar pretty high, but I think everybody else that's followed has lived up to it. Daisy, I believe your turn is coming.
I'm this weekend, so me and Pete are doing this beer this weekend, and I'm hoping Zelda's going to join us for a little tasting session.
Genuinely, you're hoping? Yes. Okay.
It would be fun, but I don't think she will.
She's going to join us on the Zoom call.
Really? Right, okay. So that's highlights done. So have we got our first questions, please, Pete?
We do indeed. Bear with me 1 second while I get one up on screen. So, I'll tell you what, let's start off with this one from someone called Joanna Rowling.
So, Joanna, former manager of this bar, and now our sales lady extraordinaire. Yeah, there was a rumour that Wayne is scared of Terra Hawks. How does he feel holding the can with Zelda on it?
Yeah, time's passed now. It's not as bad as it used to be. But yeah, it was genuinely, it got to a position where my parents would tape Terra Hawks, and then there was any part of Zelda came on, they'd have it ready in the video player, they'd have it paused, and they'd shout me in the living room to tell me off, and they'd press play, and it would just absolutely petrify me. It was as if you'd do that. So I hope my parents are watching at home now, and they appreciate the trauma they put me through.
I think these days that might be qualified as a child abuse.
I know. I just got
Sorry,
the
what's in
internet
hand.
and bought it, yeah.
I think we best move on from that one quickly.
I know.
We've got one in the room.
Yeah, going back to your labels, is there a vast difference in price between the label and print?
So, just for anyone at home, we've been asked, is there a vast difference in price between a label and having a printed can? So, yeah, a can is going to be about 12p, a label is going to be 7 to 8p, so you're looking all in about 20p. And then a printed can.
2 years ago, though. At least.
Go on then, you go.
Yeah, 14 to 15p now for a plain can.
Wow.
And then 7 to 8p on a printed label, depending on how many we order at a time. So the price isn't too bad. And a fully printed can like the Terra Hawks one is a little bit more expensive than that, because they're small batch. But one of the things that a fully printed can like that does is there's less equipment to break down for us once we do it on a package and run day. So this is where Lily can pick up on why that's so important.
Oh, straight,
Straight back to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, we prefer going with a printed can because you've eliminated the machine that has to apply the label, and we can print the batch number, and we can print the best before on there as well. So then we've also eliminated the piece of equipment that has to print that on, because that's two things that can fail and unfortunately regularly do fail. So sometimes it's worth paying a little bit more for us to be able to get that process completed quicker, because then we can get onto the packaging of the next beer. But we have listened to your feedback, and we know that you don't care about that, and all you want is your labels. So you will be getting your labels again.
So when we've got one of our signature beers that we brew all the time, and typically the signature beers will end up in a supermarket, so the volumes are high, we can contact our can supplier and we can commit to a large volume of them. And if you peel the label off Red Panda, you'll see there's a Karma Chameleon can underneath. Well, that Karma Chameleon can cost us 13 pence all in, so we don't need to apply a label to it. So that's so much cheaper. It doesn't sound like much, the 7-8p difference, but that's the difference between being able to supply a supermarket and not, because the margins are so tight that if you can save that much money, it means we can actually justify doing a supermarket beer rather than not being able to afford to do it. So the challenges, the pros and cons of each different version and variation we do, but labels on a silver can kind of work pretty well. One of the things you're going to see more of going forwards is, now that we've got this new design, we're going to commit to a volume of a fully printed can that we use for everything. So the fully printed can will have this cream background incorporated into it with a Brew York logo, and we apply the label over the top of that. So instead of the silver background, we'll have this at least, so it doesn't look quite, because we don't like it aesthetically when you have a label on a silver can. We appreciate the label's good for you guys at home, but the silver and label thing isn't something
if you
it's
can
always
make it
jarred to
appear
us.
seamless, and if you think of like Siren, I think have done it very well in the past, and
Thornbridge
and Beavertown used to do it really well, where it can be a label, but it looks like a full top to tail design.
So having this Brew York base can is exactly the same price to us as buying a silver can. So it makes sense to us to have the Brew York base can that we can then do other variations with, and in our opinion, make the thing look better and still give you guys the stickers at home that you can remove.
That's probably enough on that question. Should we do one more question before we move on to beer two?
Can do. Here's one from Natasha.
So from Natasha Curden, are there going to be any more cocktail-inspired beers coming, or is that series finished now?
We had one more in the pipeline, but for various reasons, because of clashes in schedules and unfortunate absences, we've had to put that one on pause. So it may be the end of the series. We may be able to bring one more to it. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we were going to do a gimlet with someone, and I
still don't know what a gimlet is.
Until 2 weeks ago, I had probably more than 2 weeks ago, I didn't know what that was. Apparently, you need to have watched Mad Men Apparently they used to drink a lot of these gin-based cocktails called gimlets on Mad Men. And we were going to do that with a brewery who, for now, are going to remain nameless because they have very valid reasons for not being able to work with us right now. And then there was another brewery we were hoping to do a cocktail-based beer with, but we posed 2 questions to them. Did they want to do the cocktail thing, or did they want to do this kind of pastry sour thing with us? So Heist, it's not Heist, is it? It's Heist. Yeah, Heist we're going to be doing a pastry sour with in a few months' time. I think early November, that one, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
So on to the next beer then.
Next beer.
It's your
So,
beer.
well, you can be pouring. So now we're on to the latest in the Juice Foresight series, and this is the last twist of the year. So as a recap, we've done the original.
Vegan.
Sorry, you need an empty glass. We then did the vegan version. Vegan version. We then did the double strength version, which we confusingly also called Juice Foresight, but spelled D-E-U-C-E. That must have been fun across the bar. We then followed that up with Exotic Juice Foresight, which was guava, banana, and mango, I believe. And now we bring you Dark Fruits Juice Foresight, which is blueberries and blackcurrant. Excellent pouring skills,
I know.
Mr. Smith.
I was busy watching the screen.
So for this year, this will be the last, although we have liked how these have been received, and we do have some plans for some further ones next year. So when we've been doing this series of beers, for the most part, it's been the same grist. It's the same backbone of pale, oats, wheat, and what we've been doing is sometimes changing up the hops, sometimes changing up the fruits. Our typical version is Citra and Mosaic. With this one, we've dropped out the Citra and we've amplified the Mosaic. Because one thing Mosaic is known for is its berry character, so it made complete sense to lead out with the Mosaic in this one. And then we've, in secondary, in the fermenter, once the alcohol's been created, we then added, check my notes, 50 kilos of blueberry and 200 kilos of blueberry concentrate.
Blackcurrant.
Blackcurrant. That's the blueberry twice.
Yeah.
That's good going.
Member berries.
Member berry? We'll leave that there for South Park fans. So it's 250 kilos combined of concentrate, and a typical concentrate is concentrated at like 4:1. So really what you're talking about there is a starting weight of 1 ton of fruit has gone into this particular beer. I've already said it's the last of the year. Next year we are looking to do another 2 or 3. By the end of tonight, we'll probably have told you one of them because really bad at keeping a lid on things. So let's see. What do we think? I know.
Spicy Ribena.
Spicy Ribena, we're hearing.
I definitely get a lot of Ribena tones from it. It's not one of those things that when people hear dark fruit, instantly you're drawn to Strongbow, aren't you? Or, that's what you're drawn to, but that's what you think of, Strongbow dark fruit. And because it's cider, it's very, very sweet. So your association with dark fruit sometimes is quite a sweet taste. And we didn't really want to go down the sweet route. Juice Foresight is quite a sweet beer. We didn't really want this one to be overtly sweet. And I think it reminds me more of a snakebite blacker. Is that what you call it? Snakebite, where you got
snakebite black.
Yeah, you put the blackcurrant in, and it's like Juice Foresight with blackcurrant added, which is a good or bad thing. The snakebite black reminds me of university.
So what was the snakebite and black cider and blackcurrant, or was it lager cider and blackcurrant? Lager cider and blackcurrant. Yeah, there we go. That's ones where we won't serve that in pints. So you'd ask for 2 halves and then you had to make it yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, one of the things we were very jealous of on Sunday at the rugby. So in the community stadium in York, we have a permanent draft listing, and it's depending on what day you go. If you go during the York City games, it's Minster Men Pride, and if you go during the rugby games, it's Knights Vale. And we were very jealous that we didn't have the dark fruits line on Sunday because they had the playoff final before the Super League final, and the whole of the 2 playoff teams.
Barrow ladies had played Lee ladies, and Barrow had won. and all of them were sat in the seats in front of us, and
Just a constant stream of
every
them going up to the
single
bar
one of
and
them
coming
was
back with
drinking
dark fruit, and it was just like, it was pint after pint after pint, because at the rugby you can take the beer out into the ground with you, whereas at the football you have to drink it at half time and go back out. But yeah, they must have gone through a keg per team. It was good on them, and yeah, we had Valkyrie pouring in the boxes, and that was going down really well with the people there. But it's only a selective audience who can buy it up there, so it was very jealous of not being on the main bar with it.
One day, dude. Right, so we've told you what we've done this year. We would like your thoughts on what we should do with Juice Foresight next year. And I'll do you a little deal. If you get close, we'll let you know if that is something we are going to do. So in the room, have a think. We'll come back to you shortly. Online, get your ideas in. So we're going to do 2 or 3 new variants next year. What is it you think we should be doing with this beer next year? And we'll see if you think like we think. Probably not. We're quite twisted. Okay.
You got one more line?
I've got one more line. So yeah, we kind of already said this, but I need to, like Pete was saying earlier, we've released a series of YouTube short videos featuring some of our recent releases. One of those is our finance assistant, Ali, talking about this beer. So I recommend that you check out that beer video on YouTube. Maybe we need to cut down the pre-drinks.
The pre-live citrus.
Yes, exactly. So now we're going to go on and give you a little bit of insight into our planning process. So one of the highlights of the year for me is looking ahead and deciding what beers we're going to make next year. So not just what beers, what we're going to do as a company next year. So are there types of beers that we've not made before that we want to get into? Are there things that we strategically might want to do with the bars? Anything like that. And we thought we'd give you a little bit of insight into our kind of thought process and where we're going next year.
Should we start with what the biggest change up is on our signature range?
Oh, go on then. Remind me.
So in terms of signature cask range, we've pretty much got that nailed. You go downstairs in Pock today, you'll see those 4 beers pouring, and any of our venues that have enough lines that will be pouring 4 cask beers, you'll see them in there, which is Maris, Tom Coco, Fennec and Karma. So they're the 4 beers that we look to pour all the time. What we're then going to do is bring out 2 specials a month for the rest of the year. So those 2 specials will either be a returning favourite, a cask we've brewed before that we really like, or it'll be a make it range, which is a single hop. It used to be a single hop. We might run out of hops. It might be a showcase of those hops. So tonight, that's the one I keep talking about. I'm drinking Make It Citra, which is if you like Citra, is a great example of a single hop beer. So that's the signature cask range. The signature keg range included lots of different beers in the past that everyone loves. So Rhubarb, Tom Coco, a few others.
Well, actually, could I just add a point there? So you might not understand what we mean by signature cask and keg, because what we've kind of done in the past is we have a beer like Karma Chameleon, and you can get it in cask, and you can get it in keg, and you can get it in can. And we decided that things were a little bit murky and that it was getting a little bit too complicated for us to keep all of the beers available in all the formats all the time. So what we've decided is there's going to be 4 beers that are going to be cask, and there's going to be 4 beers that are going to be keg, and as a result of that, there's been a few casualties.
So Rhubarbra is a popular beer in our own venues. No one buys it off us in the on-trade, unfortunately. So the only time we really sell it is to our own venues. So what we decided with Rhubarbra is it's going to drop into our occasional range. Occasional. So basically, there'll be a Rhubarbra variant coming out pretty much every quarter next year. So every 3 months, there will be a brand new version of Rhubarbra. It'll be quite similar to the original, but we won't change too much. But what we'll make sure is that those variants are available in our own venues all year round. So, as before, people who drink Rhubarbra tend to drink at our venues. So we're going to make sure Rhubarbra is there for our venues for the whole year. But what we're going to do is not necessarily focus that much into the on-trade, the other pubs and bars, because they weren't buying it. So we're going to look at other stuff for those guys. What else was there? So in terms of
Tom Coco is going to be cask only going forward. You're not going to be able to get that in keg, except perhaps occasionally in our venues. So if you drink here, you might still get the pleasure of that.
And same with cans. So the cans, it's going to be available for a foreseeable future in can, but we're going to try and phase that out to focus. That beer we feel just suits the cask format better than can or keg. So there'll be other versions we do in keg, which are probably going to be a little bit stronger because that beer and that style just works better on keg at a slightly higher strength. The other thing is pale beer. So pale beer is something that a lot of people who subscribe to us or follow us seem to think or state on our threads and forums that it's not something we're known for. Well, it's something we've done a lot of and we've sold a lot of. It's by far we sell far more pale beer than we sell of any other style of beer, and our pale beer our pale community again. Our pale beer game is getting better and better. You know, our team are getting better at what they do. The ingredients we do are getting better, and I think something like the Terra Hawks beer is a good example of that. So we don't want to just keep putting the same pale beers out that people don't think are very good or don't judge us on. We want to keep improving that. So Lupul Lion is a great beer. It's something that myself and Lee love that style, but right now it doesn't quite fit into the category for us that we need it to. So we're going to tweak it slightly. We're just going to drop the ABV a little bit. So at the moment it's 5%. It's going to drop down to about 4.3%. And it's still hopefully going to taste exactly the same, and it's still going to be gluten-free. And that's going to it's going to fit into that category for us where we focus on a gluten-free, clear beer. So something where you can actually look through. It's a bright beer. It appeals to quite a lot of the market. The more accessible beer, the beer that we think is hopefully going to sell better for us, is something like Haze of Thunder. So Haze of Thunder is a 4.2% hazy pale beer, but it isn't very well loved. It's very popular, but people don't rave about it like they do about some of the other breweries beers out there. So that's what the Hop Sessions beers have all been about. We've been trying to refine a beer, a recipe, a hop combo to basically take over Haze of Thunder. So we feel we're pretty much there now. We've got a couple more variants that are about to launch, and internally we're happy with one of them. And that new beer is going to launch soon. It's going to be called Coney, and it's the same beer as Hop Sessions. It's 4.5% hazy beer, but it's going to have its own identity, and we're going to then focus on it, and that's going to stay that way. And we're still going to brew Hop Sessions as a hop changing experimental thing, because we don't want to sit still. In 12 months' time, what we've done for Coney might not be relevant anymore, so we might want to improve the recipe. But a 4.5% hazy session beer is what sells at the moment, so we think that that's going to be possibly one of our biggest beers. And then Juice Foresight. Juice Forsight's going to stay as is. It's our biggest selling beer by a long way, and it's very appealing to a lot of people.
Okay. So we've that's a lot of change all at once, but when you're making a massive investment in branding and you're about to spend a large amount of money on new cans and so forth, we didn't want to do this and then have to come back 6 months down the line and change something again. So it has been, I hope, relatively well thought out, and I hope we've done it in a way that respects you as our consumer. It would have been all too easy, for example, with something like Haze of Thunder, to just pop a new recipe out there that we think better represents us, and hope that you wouldn't notice the difference, as other people have done with their beers. But I don't like what I've seen other breweries do, where the beer creeps and creeps and creeps and creeps, and then eventually it's a poor shadow of the beer that you originally recognised and fell in love with. We felt if we were going to do something that was a bit of a step away from the original Haze of Thunder, that it needed to have its own unique identity. So hence why we created Coney. Coney being, of course, associated with Abbott's, Coney also being Coney Street in York, and then Coney Island, so it kind of honours our English and American kind of heritage that we have to the brewery as well.
And one of the things we want to do along this journey is look at those brands that we still like and we still drink. So Haze of Thunder, Time Traveling Taxi, Big Eagle, Rhubarbra, we still really like, and we're still going to have those beers available in our own venues as much as we can, because we don't want to just go down to having 6 or 7 beers pouring in our venues. We've got 40 lines in our beer hall. We want as many beers pouring as possible, but we just want to have a much more focused approach to what we sell to the on-trade, the pubs and bars around the country. So that's the reason for this change to our signature range. We've got other beers in there that we're super proud of now that you guys probably don't realise we love so much. So Golden Eagle and Osprey, our 2 lagers. Go back probably only a year ago, and myself and Lee hardly touched lager. Now it's kind of my go-to in our venues. I really enjoy the lagers we make, so I drink them a lot more. Believe it or not, because of all the different beers we bring out, we sometimes get flavour fatigue, and it's just nice to go back to something really simple and crisp and clean that works. So lager's kind of new on me again. It's kind of going back to what I used to drink a long time ago, but it works.
If you go and visit any brewer that's in craft and they make a lager, the first thing they'll try and put in your hand is their Pilsner. The thing that they would consider best represents their capability as a brewer is a Pilsner. It's one of the hardest things to make. You've got to be bob on with all the different elements. Your hygiene's got to be up there, because any imperfection is going to shine through in something that has so delicate a flavour profile. It's easy with something like Terra Hawks or whatever, where it's very heavily hopped. That could have a flavour defect in it. You wouldn't know, because we would have just hopped over the top of it. With a Pilsner, nothing to hide behind. So, yeah, I once upon a time would have said, yeah, and lager, smarger, whatever. But today, I see the value in it, and I see the skill in it. And I'm very proud of the lagers that we make now.
And then the other 2 beers, we've got Black Bess. So Black Bess is the new name for our Nitro Stout. So we brought Nitro Stout out last year, called Big Toucan. We really want this to be quite a prominent part of our portfolio going forwards. And we figure kicking the hornet's nest isn't a good idea, so we'll take any reference to Guinness off it, and we'll just focus on our own brand. So Black Bess is Dick Turpin's horse, if you weren't aware, we just think the relation to York is quite a good thing. The beer itself is a great, easy drinking beer, and yeah, we're gonna do a few things in the future. Hopefully, we'll get one of our friends who has a nitro dosing unit to do some canned beers for us, so anyone at home can try it as well. But we're pretty pleased with how it's going so far. And the final one, we've been waiting for a long time for, but it's the replacement for Lowrider. So Lowrider's our alcohol-free beer. We have the replacement. It's 0.5%, and it was packaged 2 days ago. It's called Loris.
But we don't have the branding or the labels.
Exactly, so it's canned, but we don't have the labels to apply to it.
So we can't wrap it and sell it to you yet.
So that's the real challenge with alcohol-free beer. So the first batch we had brewed for us by To Prove Brewery in Belgium. So they did everything they needed to make it available to sell in the UK. What we didn't realise is that because it's got no alcohol in it, we have to get calorific content and have it tested and all these other things. So we've had to send it away for analysis. So as soon as those results come back, we can add it to the label, we can get the label printed, and we can start selling the beer.
Oh, the results are now in.
Oh, they're in now.
If you want to drink if you're on a diet and you want to drink a Brew York beer, it's definitely going to be the beer.
Yeah.
The calorific content is really quite low, but that's because alcohol itself is really quite calorific. We didn't do our own low alcohol from the get-go because it's a complicated thing to do and to do right, and to not only achieve the low alcohol but to have it taste like a beer. You still want to feel like you're tasting a beer with that kind of thing. And I feel after some investment and some time, we've been able to achieve that. And it will presumably make it into your box, which you may or may not thank us for. But we'll be interested to hear your feedback on that.
We haven't even planned that into the subscriber box, so I'm looking forward to hearing what the fuck?
Right, we've definitely got to get it in the box. It won't be one of your 4. We're not going to do it as one of the thirsty ones, but it might be one of the additional beers in the box. Okay.
So yeah, we've spent a lot of time now talking about. Did anyone hear the smash? Spent a lot of time now talking about what is effectively our signature range. As you can appreciate, that took a long time to talk through. So you can imagine how long it takes to brew that many beers, which is why it's been such a challenge, because we need to really. We had more than that before. We had probably twice as many beers that we were constantly brewing. And it was just putting so much strain on the brew schedule. It's really hard to brew specials when you're brewing that much in your signature range.
Yeah, I mean, us being restrained is 4 cask, 4 keg, a low alcohol, 2 lagers, a cider, and then 3 other beers aside from that we do for a supermarket. That is, even with the cutbacks we've made, that is still ridiculous. You name me another brewery that has a core range remotely near that.
So that being said, we still want to brew 52 special beers next year. So we've one of the major differences next year is that we used to focus our beer releases around can, because most people drank beer in the can over 2020, 2021, 2022. People were drinking beer in the can. Now most people drink our beer for the first time on keg or cask. So instead of trying to focus on making sure you've got 2 cans available at one point in time to justify shipping, we're going to start focusing on bringing the new beers out and making sure there's enough of it available so that you can wait a week or wait 2 weeks to then get the 2 together. So from next year, we're going to be doing a new beer launch every single week, and then we'll be able to give those beers enough time to talk about them, let you guys know what's coming out, and let you know, for example, that it's going to be your subscription box, which they all are. Those 52 beers are in your box. So.
And that's 52 that's going to make it into can. In addition to that, there will be beers that end up in keg only, and a couple of beers a month that will only go into cask as well. So that's a lot of beer that we're committing ourselves to next year. So plenty more great Brew York beer coming your way.
And then some of them will be re-releases, the beers that we really like, we want to bring back. But one of the things we're going to be even more strict than we ever have been is we're only going to bring it back if we haven't seen it in a while and you guys want it back. So we're going to involve you guys a lot more in that. We're going to put some votes out there, ask you what type of beers you want to come back. But even stuff like, and we absolutely love it, Kirsch Russell. We decided Kirsch Russell and Biscoff Tom Coco. No, not Biscoff, that's a new beer. Salted Caramel Tom Coco. We're going to get a annual re-release. We're not even sure about those anymore because there's so many other beers in our range that you guys can tell us if you want it back, or we can just put our efforts into another beer.
I think sometimes it's a case of absence makes the heart grow fonder.
So, like rhubarb. No one told us about rhubarb until we said we're stopping it.
We're going to leave at least a 1-year hiatus between re-releases. We have to be conscious that just because we finish selling something, or we might have sold that onto an independent retailer, and it might sit on their shelves for 8 months. So we then bring it out again in a year's time, then it hasn't been gone that long. So we need to leave a longer gap between releases. So we're going to try and make it 2 years between releases. Like Wayne says, the 2 that we thought were immune to that were Kirsch Russell and Salted Caramel Tom Coco, but they've not sold like they did, so we think even they need to have that extended break.
So if there's any that you think you're desperate for next year that we've brewed this year, you need to tell us on social media and we'll see what we can do. We'll put a vote together.
So we have other exciting news that's come out of our planning process for next year. So one you will all be, I hope, keen to know about, which is the subscriber/YouTube/Empress launch for January next year. Will be on the Friday the 12th, and it will be hosted in our Hoptail Lounge, I would imagine, again, in York. So you will once again all have an invite to that, where we'll do what we did last year. We'll sample the beers as we have done tonight, and we will also sample the first release of Empress, and then we'll also engage you in the process of selecting the barrels for the further year's barrel aging.
So one of the things that we're going to do, like we've done tonight, is by changing the days up, we think that if we did something big in York, we'd probably fill the tasting room. So we don't think we'd have enough room in there. So we will be doing the YouTube live stream with everyone hopefully joining us in person. So I don't know who's going to tune in on live, but hopefully you'll all be there in person.
I'll ask my mum.
We'll do that. That should be a bit of fun. And like Lee said, there's some exclusive tastings to go alongside the actual 4 beers we'll be talking about. I just saw Dream Child pop up on the screen. That's a beer I would like to bring back.
Oh, it was that hint, was it?
Maybe.
In other exciting news, we can't say too much at this point in time, but we expect to open further venues in 2024. Wheels are in motion. That's all we will say.
Yeah, there's lots of things that we have to do to make that happen, but we've got lots of things in, or ideas, or the wheels are in motion anyway. We're hoping to get that sorted.
But they might not be as you've seen before. And it doesn't matter how drunk you get me tonight. That is as much info as you were getting on that particular point. You're going to have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To deliver things like more bars, we're going to have to expand the brewery as well. So there will be some further investment in the brewery into additional tanks and all the other bits that need to be there to generate more beer. And another thing we're looking at is this YouTube session. So one thing we've agreed and was discussed earlier is it definitely benefits to move it around. So it's going to be Leeds next time. It's going to be Handley in December, and then it will be the YouTube/subscriber party in January, and then we'll keep rotating it around, and then the more bars we end up with, the more locations we can take it to. So we'll have to see how that
I'm just going to put
transpires.
the pressure on the bar managers to outdo each other. So how many do you reckon you got in the room, Dom? Have you done the count tonight? Is it about 20?
50. I can be
So we'll see who outdoes it. Yeah, if you can get 50 people in, Dom, we'll do an expansion.
We'll need an expansion. We're going to get 50 people.
Right. So that's a little bit of insight into what we intend to do, but we'd love to hear your feedback on what you think we should be doing, whether that be beers, bars, whatever. You just let us know. Comments below the video or emails to info@brewyort.co.uk. Right.
So there's not actually that much time for questions, but we will do one if we've got one.
Yeah. Well, we have loads and loads of people adding suggestions for Juice Foresight variants. So do you want to do a bit of a quick fire through those?
Yeah, let's do your suggestions on Juice Foresight variants then.
All right.
We've got one in the audience.
I've got one.
You got to lean further in, then you're on camera as well. It's a time delay as well, so you're probably already on camera. You just hasn't shown up yet.
You'll appear in a second. Oh, there, almost.
Wild thing, elderberry and sloe.
Oh, nice.
Elderberry and slow. Ooh, wow.
So wild berries in a Juice Foresight variant.
Okay, I can see that working.
I like slow berries. They're I love slow gin. It's one of my favourites.
Yeah, nice.
Embarrassingly, I've never had slow gin.
What?
Or if I have, I don't remember it. I don't really do gin. I think I've had about 6 gins in my entire life, and that was all in one day.
There we go. So we've had loads and loads of suggestions. So Lee, you're going to have to read them as they pop up on your screen because I'm going to put them up every 5
Quick
seconds.
fire.
Okay, let's go for it.
So here we go.
We've had banana juice Forsyth.
Banana man.
Something mad like dragon fruit would be fun, says Emma Thomas. Adam Davison stone fruits, so like a kind of peachy one, yeah. Belinda Morley says cranberry for a Christmas beer. Okay. Mango juice Forsyth from Lee, but not this one. Daniel Sawyer, a red IPA version. Interesting. Alan Robinson, Little Bruce Forsyth, pineapple and grapefruit. Keir, I'd like a bit of chili in the... Well,
You been talking to Glenn?
well, I mean, chili and mango is kind of a classic combination, isn't it? So I could kind of see that working. Belinda Morley again, black cherry version. It's
Goose
good.
Forsyth.
Goose
Goose Forsyth,
Forsyth,
that's a
a
good
mix
one.
between Goose Willis and Juice Forsyth. I love the name. The juice, I'm thinking, would be a little bit weird.
Baby juice.
Baby juice, a 2.8% version for Jan. Simon S. Juice Forsyth ideas, higher and lower ABV. Nothing for Tarquin Kitchen up in Edinburgh. God, long time no speak to Tarquin. I hope you're doing well. Slow Gin Sluice Forsyth. So, yeah, not the only one there suggesting that. Juice Forsyth and chili. Well, that's more popular than you would have thought.
And that's all of them.
And that's it. And amazingly, the 2 we have decided to do were not in that list. I'm stunned. I was convinced you would have got them, but anyway.
Tonka juice Forsyth. No.
Well, you missed your opportunity. That subject is now closed, and we will not be sharing. Okay. So, one question before we move on.
Well, you do the question, I'll do the toilet break.
I'll need a question then.
So here we go.
From Emma Thomas. There was talk about doing Halloween-themed beers a while back. What happened with that? Very good question. We're really excited about what we've got coming out. So, packaging, well, it should have been packaging today, but a bit fell off our canning line. So packaging tomorrow once the part arrives. is going to be Reddy Kruger, which is a cherry guava marshmallow pastry sour, which is bright red. And we also have When Lemons Give You Slime, which is a bright green lemon and lime pastry sour. The two of them next to each other look like some sort of failed nuclear experiment, but they look fantastic. So yeah, we're really excited about that. And we've got a new sales director on board called Yusuf, who apparently has a big kid in him because he loves Halloween. And he wants Halloween to be a much bigger part of our annual release calendar. So next year, I expect us to make more of a thing of it. So this year, 2 beers. Next year, who knows?
There is also a third beer, which I suppose you can class under the spooky league.
Oh, Dungeons and Flagons, yes. So there is a beer that we do for York Dungeons, so a tourist attraction in York, similar to the one you would have in London.
Or Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yeah, news to me. And we did a beer for them a little while back, and it's getting a re-release for Halloween. So it's called Dungeons and Flagons. It's a modern hazy. Yusuf is online, and he has done Clap Pumpkin. Yeah, Yusuf is massively into Halloween. So, as I've said, we'll make a much bigger thing of it next year. Otherwise, I fear he will not let me hear the end of it.
So did I
Okay.
miss anything? Any spoilers? Have we talked about Halloween beers yet?
Yeah, no, we did Halloween
Spoilers.
beers. So we've done the green beer, we've done the red beer, and then we mentioned the Dungeons and Flagons that's returning as well.
So speaking of red beer,
Oh, what a link!
see what I did there? So it's time for Red Panda. So speaking of Yusuf, it's time for Red Panda. Has anyone got any panda facts?
Panda facts. It's a shame you can't just flash that up because that would have been amazing. So you're supposed to be talking
You're
about this
supposed to be
one.
pouring, I'm supposed to be talking.
Yeah.
So Red Panda is a returning beer, unfortunately, if you don't like
And
the
apparently,
repeats.
also not a panda.
No.
If you watch the video,
Panda
you would
facts,
know
you
that.
know that,
So
yeah.
I remember that it's not a panda. Unfortunately, I didn't listen enough to work out what it actually is.
So Red Panda, we brewed a couple of years back. It was when we brewed it, and it still is, a red IPA. So a high strength or high-ish strength, but a regular strength for an IPA. So it's 7.1%. And one of the things we did this year is we tweaked the recipe slightly to be more similar to a beer we brewed with Andy and the craft beer, Andy at Lucive and Opinions Beer O'Clock Show guys. So Red Danson. So Red Danson was a favourite we brewed a few years back, but again, it was a red IPA, so we were a little bit reluctant about brewing it again too quickly. But what we got with, we got an opportunity through export to tender for a red IPA contract. And Lee jumped at it and brewed it straight away as soon as he could at the original brewery site in Warmgate. So this is a much smaller batch, which meant we could send the samples off for the tender, and then we could launch it into can for you guys in the subs box, and also a small amount into keg to the general trade. So this beer is quite strong.
Yeah, 7.1%. Proper IPAs, American IPAs, are supposed to be at this elevated ABV. I think if you're going to pack that amount of kind of flavour in, you need to have the counterpart of the sugar, and with the sugar comes the alcohol.
And when you brew a regular IPA, so a pale IPA, you can go really simple if you want to. Some breweries only use one type of malt, just a pale ale malt, in their IPAs. We typically, if we're brewing a traditional IPA, we like to use a little bit more caramel colouring in there, so we use some of the different crystal malts to get that. This beer has 7 different types of malt in it, so it's quite a complex grist. So grist being the malt combination we use to make a beer, and that makes for a more complex beer anyway. For when you're drinking the simple pale hoppy beer, it's all about the different hop flavour profiles. This one has the malt profile to give you a nice, interesting caramelly, biscuity base, and then the hops complement it or accentuate the flavour. So hops are. You did a different. No, you can tell them about it. I'll read it. You can just tell them how you did it.
Well, in this sort of style, there's 3 things you generally always use. Columbus, Centennial, Simcoe. They're the ones that are the pinier end of the scale. And they just play so nicely in darker beers. So a red IPA, an India Stout, those types of hops, absolutely magnificent in the style. In addition to that, though, we've got a little bit of citrus in this citra in this one that offers some citrus character.
So Andy, our mate at Elusive, is a master of this style of beer, and the other brewery who do it really, really well are the Colonel. If you've ever had their beers in London, so anything that's hoppy and dark or darker in colour, they seem to do really, really well. And this has a lot of like flavour characteristics that remind me of some of their beers. So Centennial is one of the hops we've used in it, and they use it quite a lot in their dark beers. It just works really, really well. You can taste it above the malt backbone. So last weekend when I was in Gravity Festival, Colonel were there, and I loitered around and drank lots and lots of their India Porter. It was very, very nice, very hoppy, dark beer, and this has very, very similar taste, but in a slightly different body.
I like that. Daniel Sawyer loves it so much, he's had to put in an order for an extra few cans. Good work, Daniel.
So we mentioned the Panda facts. So did you mention who Yusuf was earlier when you?
Our new sales director.
Yeah.
I think he's had a couple of mentions tonight, but I'm sure he won't begrudge an extra one.
He likes to wear masks when he comes to work. So he turned up one day wearing a panda mask, and Pete was like, "That'd be really good for a video." So I think that's what happened, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the way I heard it. Yeah.
So, he comes to work in disguise, and he had a load of panda facts up his sleeve that he threw at us. So we thought this would make great content for YouTube. So Pete came up with a video, and Yusuf filmed it for him. But he really likes red IPAs, and he really likes red pandas.
Do you know what I'm really dying to know though, Pete? See if you paid attention to your own video.
Okay.
I remember that a panda is not a red panda is not a panda. So what is it?
Well, as I frantically type in Red Panda on
Oh,
Google
shit.
on the laptop in front of me.
Yusuf's watching. You should be able to type the answer straight away.
Yusuf, you had to say the line. What is it? Cats? Are they shouting the room
Yeah.
as it's related to a cat?
Yeah, I can't remember the actual name of the species, but all I know is that they are related to skunks, weasels, and what was the other?
Related to skunks, weasels, and okay.
And Yusuf. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. But definitively not a panda, just has the appearance of one.
Yeah.
So
And if you've not seen the video, check it out and give it a like and subscribe.
one of the things that always made me laugh about the artwork on this is the panda at the top looks like it's got a Cheshire Cat smile on it, and it's actually supposed to be the stripe of their face. But yeah, you draw a few teeth in there, and it's definitely a mouth. Zoom.
Yeah, you need go gadget arms, I think, to make that work.
So this style of beer, well, just a show of hands in the audience for a like or a don't like. If you like it, put your hand up, and Pete, switch camera quickly.
What, the beer or the Red Panda?
So it is a style that I think works really well, but people
No,
don't.
switch the camera back so I can go to Lou.
So I think it's a style that people don't quite understand. So when you go to a bar and you know that you like an IPA, or you know you like a stout, or you know you like a bitter, when someone sees a red IPA, they're a bit reluctant to buy it. Like when they see an India stout or a style that's not quite as normal, so they don't buy it as regularly as they would. So I think that's usually the reason these styles don't sell really well for us. So why we're so reluctant to brew them so often. But we absolutely love them in the brewery, and if we could brew these more often, we would do. So if you guys like them, look out for them, buy them, and encourage us to brew more of them. Especially if we do it at the old brewery site where it's a smaller scale anyway, so we don't need to worry about selling too much. Have we got any questions, Pete? Because Lee's been a long time in his toilet, right?
Sure. Here's one.
So would it be possible to print all your cans and include a sheet of labels in the subs boxes? Yeah, potentially. The challenge we have is that the reason our labels are so well priced for us is because we buy so many of them. So we buy thousands of labels at a time, and that's why the price goes down to 6 or 7p a label. If we only buy 250 or 400 at a time, the price per label goes up to like 20p or something. Again, it's not a lot of money, but it's those incremental things that make a difference. So perhaps what we should do is we've got reams and reams and reams of old labels from old beers we're never going to brew again. We should put them in your box, and you can fill in the gaps in your sticker book with these super rare releases, and we can pretend you've tried them. Yeah, exactly. Need to use them. Go on, Bob. So, anyone on the camera at home, Bob's just asked in the corner, has the change in beer duty changed or put us off brewing strong beer? Not necessarily. It scared us initially when the laws changed, but we went into August, the first month that the new duty regime had kicked in, and we saw the record number of imperial stouts. And I think because the general public assumed that breweries were never going to brew them again, so they went hell for leather to find as many imperial stouts as they could and bought them all. But what we found from our YouTube session that month and from feedback online is that even if the price goes up, there's a lot of people out there who are still willing to pay the premium for it. And you understand it's not us that are putting that premium on, it's the government with the duty. So there's no reluctance from us in terms of bringing out our barrel-aged stouts and things like that. We just, when we brew the smaller batch or newer stuff, we're going to brew it in smaller quantities, maybe at the original Foresight or half-size batches, or maybe not half-size batches, but we might barrel-age more of it. So we release half of it, barrel-age half of it, and then that half we'll release in maybe 2 installments going forwards as different types of beers.
Well, when we did our planning, which concluded this week, I think the amount of stouts we're going to do, including barrel-aged and imperial strength, is fairly similar to the amount we've done this year.
It's definitely very, very popular still. And the reason is it's something that we like to drink as well, but there's times a year when we like to drink them. So it might have felt, if you're a subscriber, you might have felt like we've reduced the number of stouts we do. We haven't, or we have, but it was nothing to do with the duty change. It was because it was supposed to be hot the last 3 months. I know it wasn't hot, but the weather dictates or drives a lot of buying behaviour with beer. So we looked at, when we sat down last year, we looked at the calendar and we purposely made a decision in June, July, August, well, maybe more like July, August, September, not to brew too much stouts, to try and reduce the volume of stouts we're doing and then focus on winter for stouts. And yeah, we did it. And we had awful weather, didn't we? So I'm sure everyone would have drank stouts regardless. But.
And when we have Coco, and now we're going to have Black Bess, if you're going to have a third dark beer out at the same time, you need to have a damn good reason for having that beer out. So obviously we're thinking hard about when's the right time and what's the right beer.
On the news today, it was saying about the lack of hops because of the bad weather that we've had this year. So how's that going to affect you next year?
So we've had a question off camera about the bad weather and how it's affected the hop harvest. So that varies by country. So in Germany, for example, they've had drought conditions and they're expecting massively reduced crops. So classic hops like Hallertau Mittelfrüh, which is one of the main lager hops, if you didn't have that contracted last year, you will not be able to get it this year because there's such a reduction in the amount of availability of that. In the UK, I think the crop, they're expected it to be kind of similar, although the hops have grown a little bit smaller. The Americans, they don't like you to hear it, but they have a massive oversupply of hops anyway.
So they'll still put the prices up.
Huge oversupply. Their oversupply position's bigger than the entire UK market.
So unfortunately, it's one of the consequences of the economic climate where a lot of breweries have gone out of business. All those breweries had contracts for hops. They've not been able to fulfill those contracts. So all the hop merchants have excess hops that they now need to sell. And even though the harvests are bad, there's still excess hops out there. So it's a knock-on problem. And American hops are so popular with a lot of the breweries who have gone out of business that there is still enough hops out there for us and for other breweries. The Mittelfrüh, Hallertau Mittelfrüh that Lee mentioned, German hop that we had in Alpine Eagle before we rebranded it. So we've been looking at alternative hops to make sure that we can keep supply up. We've got some contracts for that hop, but we hope the Osprey, as we've rebranded it, our 4.1% lager is going to grow in popularity this year. So we're going to make sure that the hop doesn't cause a problem with that. So we'll use a blend of hops to try and mitigate the risk.
Yeah, so we're experimenting with a Polish hop called Tradition. which is essentially the same thing, grown in a different climate. So,
Price is stable, or are they rising?
are hop prices stable or are they rising? It depends. It depends on the popularity of the hop. Because like Wayne was saying there, you forward contract. So forward contracting is basically saying to a farmer, I want to order that and I want to have that this year, next year, the year after. And based on that, they determine what to plant in the fields. So years and years ago, when we first started out, one of the most expensive hops you could get was Citra, because everybody wanted it and nobody was growing it. Now, everybody grows it, and people that did want it have gone out of business, like Wayne was just saying. So now it's one of the cheaper American hops that you can get, which is great because it's a massive bang for buck hop, and you want a lot of that.
Look out for Make It Citra 2 and 3.
But year on year, typically, your hop pricing is going up. There is a demand-supply arrangement there, and like I've already said, the American market has been a little bit propped up by the fact that they're sitting on a massive oversupply. They can't release that to market because the prices are just, but yeah, we've done okay on our pricing. I think on a few varieties for next year, the pricing's actually gone down for the first time in a number of years. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean your price before you get carried away, because everything else has gone up.
So we've mentioned it a few times on the stream before, but we've had to start contracting fruit because of the volume of fruit we use in beers like Juice Foresight. And it was eye-opening just by committing to the volume how much of a saving we can make.
Yeah.
Because when we moved to the new production site, all of a sudden we're using the equivalent of IBC's worth of fruit, a ton of fruit at a time. And before that, we were always buying like small bags that we'd have to add in. So not only does it make the brewer's life easier, don't quite get the IBC for everything, but the drums are like 300 litres or 310 litres or something like that.
Yeah, the biggest one's about 260.
So all of a sudden we can pump that fruit into the tanks, and it just makes the brewer's life easier. It makes the cost per litre cheaper, which means all of a sudden these beers. So yeah, I keep referencing Juice Foresight because it's our biggest selling beer, but the fact it's got to that level and we can still keep the price how it is because we managed to contract these fruits.
It's funny, I mean, we set out to make beer, and now we have contracts for in excess of 30 tons of pineapple, mango, and passion fruit a year. How did that happen?
Solero, watch out. We're coming after you. But there's all sorts of things. So we try not to use as much lactose as we did when we started as a brewery, but lactose is a very expensive ingredient, so we have to contract that. Dextrose, which is the candy floss like sugar that if we don't use maltodextrin, if we don't use lactose, it's the alternative we use. Very, very expensive, so we have to buy a ton at a time, and a ton of sugar is a lot of money and a lot per kilogram. So we've got to look at all these different things and try and balance it out, because the base of beer is malt, hops, yeast, and water. But we have all these other things that we have to then look at.
Yeah, and we shop around. We don't want to pay more than we have to because we don't want you to pay more than you have to. I remember for the lactose, I looked at the manufacturer's name on the bag and I rang them up directly and said, I'd like to order a ton. And they said, we don't do small orders. But here's one of the people we supply and you can buy from them. And that's how we then started buying it by the ton. I just thought it was hilarious that they thought, yeah, tons of tiny order.
Yeah, but then you ring them up and you say, I want to buy 36 ton. And they're like, oh, actually, yeah, we'll do that. And you'll deliver it monthly. Yeah, it's fine. Because we were very short-termist. We were just looking at what we needed right now rather than what do we need for the whole year. And that's actually a good volume. And that's enough to get these guys to give us a good price. We weren't really thinking like that. We were like, well, no one's a ton a month. Ordering a ton is the same as ordering a ton a month. No, it's not. As soon as you give that certainty of order. So if someone contacted us and said, we're going to buy, can I buy a price for 10 kegs? We're like, well, yeah, it's this price. You can see it on our website. Can I buy 10 kegs every week for the whole year? Well, now you're talking. We're going to give you a really good price. So it's just having that consistency.
Would you like to come to our birthday?
Yeah, it's context, isn't it? And it's having especially a contract in place to then guarantee the volume as well. So anyway, we've waffled a little bit. We are ahead of schedule, but we can start the next bit. We don't have to.
Well, no, at this point in time, we wanted to put some time aside for questions. So I don't know how we're doing on questions.
I just thought Bob was desperate to get onto the business.
And this is the point where we forewarned everybody in the room that we would be looking to you for questions. So I hope you've all had thoughts.
So we're going to go one by one around.
Well, on topic of finances, I think this question here from It's Good is quite relevant.
Do you feel like you can take as much risk with your beers today as when you started up? No. It's the short
very,
answer.
very simply, if you brew 5,000 litres of a beer, you have to sell it one way or the other, and so we've always got to be a little bit more sensible with how much ingredient cost we put into that beer, because if you've brewed 1,600 litres of it like we used to in the city centre, once our own bars had bought their share of it, there wasn't actually that much left to sell externally. So you've got a lot of craft beer bars who will buy very specialist beers and they will sell it in their own time. Once you've sold to all those bars, who else is going to buy that beer? And people at home will buy it, but there's only so many people at home willing to buy, well, not just willing to buy it, to buy the volume of it. So you soon run out of customers willing to buy that wacky beer. So now we have to get the balance right where we can go really crazy with the flavour, but we've got to make sure that we don't exceed a certain price point, because that beer needs to be affordable to it's hard to categorise bars and what we call the on-trade venues, but you have your really specialist beer bars who buy every wacky beer you've ever seen, and it doesn't matter what price it is, they'll sell it, and they were not worried about it. You'll have your beer bars who are a bit more sensible, and they'll buy some beers, but you'll never really see a beer over maybe £7-8 a pint. And then you'll have your more mainstream bars who will have the range like your mainstream brands, but they'll have 4 or 5 craft brands on. And then you'll have your bars that only sell mainstream. And you've got to be able to sell to not everybody, but to the craft beer specialist bars only have a very finite amount of them, an audience, whereas the next bar up needs to be able to buy that beer because they've got a much bigger audience. So it's really difficult because we want to still make every really cool wacky beer we can conceive, but we then got to make sure that the price point isn't too crazy. If it's going to be too crazy, we'll brew it on a smaller scale in the city centre and we'll sell it to you guys because you guys will love that type of stuff. But we've got to be really careful about how many we do of them in a year.
If you think about that very specialist one being the top of the pyramid, so there's very few people wanting that very specialist thing. And then by the time you got to the bottom of the pyramid, that's the mainstream, that's everybody who's mostly going to like the things that you're doing down that end. So if you have aspirations to grow, and we are trying to grow, and we've got some big bills that need to be paid, to do decent volume, you need to be down here. But we have to respect ours, and in all total honesty, where we find our fun is doing that bit up there, and that's what your reputation is all about. So yeah, we still want to do that, but we've invested heavily in having a very good sales team, and we now look to them to say, what can you sell? And they'll come back to us and they'll go, we can sell this, I want that, I want that, I want that, and then they'll go out and sell it. If we deliver into them something where we're saying we just wanted to make it, well, one, they're not bought in, and two, they're probably not going to be able to sell it because we should have listened to them in the first place.
And then there's the other side of it where we will always have that weird and wacky stuff, which is probably going to be a lot of it is going to be the barrel aged stuff. We never have enough barrel aged beer to go around, so hence why the barrel aged nightmare sold out within a few hours of launching it. Frustrating for us because we want that beer to be available to everybody, but we just don't have enough of it. And those type of beers, we can be as extreme as we want because there's not a lot of it, and the people who want it are going to be able to buy it when it's there. So there's always a bit of give and take. We've got to get the balance right. We're still going to do wacky stuff. There's no way Lee's not going to go out on there and turn up to a meeting and say, I spent £3 per litre on ingredients. Oh, God, how much? A typical beer is anywhere like 40 or 50p. And it's like, oh, God. But those are the type of beers that we'll probably all really look forward to. We just don't want to brew too many of them too often because we won't be able to sell them.
Yeah, so
we will, but not enough.
Yeah, so there's still opportunity for that kind of thing. But I think we have as I've said, we have a better dynamic between sales and production now. And we will make what the people want. And unfortunately, that doesn't involve a lot of this stuff.
Exactly, that was the parallel I was going to draw from it. Red Panda is a beer that we love to brew, we love to drink, but we know we don't sell enough of it, so we've got to be selective about when we brew them. So it kind of goes into that category.
Probably why pretty much the only UK brewery that I still buy beer from, because we don't make it so much, is Colonel. I buy all their red stuff like this, and I buy all their hot dark stuff because we can't make it. And I think we could do a job that I'm not going to say as good as Colonel because they are exceptional, but I think we would be up there if we were permitted to do these styles more regularly.
And one of the things that we're always going to brew stuff that we like because whether we sell it or not, we'll want to drink it. And there's a couple of beers in the portfolio we brought out which we probably wouldn't give the green light to nowadays, but we're going to give the green light to because it's a rebrew of something we brewed anyway. So we know it's already worked. We know we can make it work again. So if you think about our birthday a couple of years ago when we did a collab with Vault City and we got in trouble with trading standards for claiming it was one of your 5 a day, it was very, very expensive to make. It was very intense, very smoothie-esque. And we set our planning meeting the other day. We're like, we want to make more beers like that. Just got to make sure that we can sell them.
Yeah,
so they will appear.
Yeah.
They just we just got to be. They won't be like every month.
And I'm just thinking, we've just said we're not going to do any of these kind of styles. But
We signed 2 of them off, didn't we? 2 in the.
oh, no, not just that. I'm thinking of the. In a couple of weeks, we have Vocation coming to site, and we're going to be brewing a US brown for cask.
So
I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah. So if anyone
Yes.
remembers Kiwi, which Kiwi was a mainstay for us, that kind of style, that was a New Zealand brown, but this is going to be US hot brown.
I pretty much had to beg the sales team for that one.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Vocation do some excellent beers. They really do. And they have a very, very good head brewer, Matt, with a great pedigree in our industry. And he will be the one joining us on the 26th.
So Matt's,
We'll be out in town after us for anyone who wants to join.
yeah.
26th of October in York.
So Matt's the production director. I think Gary Farlow's.
Did I just describe him as head brewer? Yeah, apologies. He was there. Yeah, he's progressed since then. Yeah, he's the production director. Gary is the head brewer.
Well, Lee still refers to himself as head brewer, so that's why he's just stuck in the past, aren't you?
Wishful thinking.
You guys got time for one more question before we move on to the next
Let's
beer?
go for it. Yeah.
One from the room or one from the audience?
One on your
Melissa
screen.
Reed.
Oh. Are you using the smaller city centre brewery for different types of beer than the main brewery? Are there any plans to highlight the smaller batch beers? So yeah, very good question, Melissa. Hello, by the way. So we, in time, are looking to move all of our cask beer production back to the city centre. One of the easiest ways that we can increase our capacity in the main production facility is to move the cask elsewhere. So that's one of the things we're looking to do. Beyond that, we're looking to launch a series which we're going to call the Warmgate Works, which will be small batch cask beers only produced in the city centre. The branding concept, we've created the brief. We're waiting to see the results of that. We would hope by the latter part of this year into the early part of next year, you'll start to see some very, very small batch. And what we mean is like 34 casks. And given our bars are going to maybe mop up half of that, you'll probably find 18 other venues that are going to have this around the entire country. So really kind of niche level of production here.
And one of the big changes next year is we're trying to be as sensible as possible about collaborations. We love doing them. We find that we learn a lot from them, and the breweries we work with usually hopefully do as well. But we still feel we do too many. So we want to really restrict it. We want to be so selective about what collaborations we do. And in doing so, we're going to open the doors to do more cask collaborations. Because there's a lot of really, really cool breweries out there who don't make cask beer, and we do, and they want to try doing cask beer. So we'd like to welcome them to us to brew batches of cask beer, and then we'll maybe focus on, was it 4 or 6? I can't remember.
No, 6 home codes. So every other month we will have a home collab. So we're looking at only 6 ones that would make it into keg and can. But then pretty much every other month we would have a cask collab with another brewery. And then there'll also be when we get out on the road and produce beers elsewhere.
So I know that's possibly not what you want to hear at home if you're waiting for the beers to turn up at your subscription box. But the 6 we do that will end up in can will be really, really good high-profile beers. But the cask ones, we want people to go back to the pub and, well, I know most people go back to the pub anyway, but enjoy it in the pub, talk about it, and hopefully we can start doing some maybe an extra beer if you join us in the audience. We can do one of these cask beers as well as doing some cans. We have a sink a few casks before we start anyway, don't we? So just turn up at
apparently
5.
too many today.
Turn up at 5 and have a few casks.
Yeah, our first one of the year, I was in discussions with them earlier today. So Howling Hops are coming to us on the 9th of January. That will be our first cask collab of the year. And then there'll be, at least 6, probably as many as 12 of them through the year. We're done on questions now. We're on to the next
I
beer.
think it's time to.
Oh, so actually, sorry, we did have one in the room, I think, over here. If you remember.
Oh, is it gone? You got a question, Thomas?
We can come back if maybe. But
You've got a camera shot. No,
The camera's not even on you yet. Come on.
no question.
So you
I think you're off
first of all,
camera.
This is awesome.
No, you're off camera. You have to lean in and talk. It doesn't work unless we
Let
see
the
it.
man talk.
No, very excited to be here. You talk about your expansion and maybe having some bars in the future and all the extra beers that you're brewing. I'm intrigued to learn, where do you think Brew Yacht's going to be in the next 3 to 5 years? At the risk of sounding like a canned interview question, like you're talking about scaling up. Like where do you want to be? What do you want to do?
We have to reiterate that question for the benefit of the camera. So, excited about the plans that we've shared thus far, but interested to hear where we'll be in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's a really good one because, and it's apt that we're sat here in Pock because Pock's probably one of the big inspirations in what we're about to do. We're looking in the next 3 years to open at least 5 more venues. And if you go back to pre-COVID times and we were sat talking about how our expansion would go, we'd be like, let's go to every city centre throughout the country. Let's target city growth. And in reality, after COVID, people do go to the city, but they still go to their local, and their local seems to be the way to go. And Pocklington's a huge example of that. So Dom's in the room, who runs the bar in Pocklington, and he's done a great job of growing this venue. And we've got you guys in the room who come out all the time and support us, which we massively appreciate. And this has kind of given us the boost to say, well, we want more like this. We want places that aren't necessarily city centre pubs. We want more rural areas where you've got people who go in and they will come in every week and they really support local and the type of thing that where we would have liked to have lived and drunk and we've both been in a position where we don't go into our local pubs and it's really crap. Now I've got a local because Daisy's running Hanley in Oswaldwick and I live in Oswaldwick, so it's great for me.
And I'm trying to move to Oswaldwick. I think my wife's about 80% on the same wavelength as me with this. Sorry, Polly. But yeah, she knows, I want to be in Hanley, so I can have that kind of same luxury.
And it's it's that kind of local pub feel. It's like the Cheers, isn't it? Where everyone knows your name. It's a nice. It's not necessarily about Brew York and the beer. You're here because it's a local, and we happen to have good beer. Hopefully, you think it's good beer because we've made it. And it's not about what we do. It's we're providing the assistance to have a great time, and that's what we want to do. We want more venues where you'll really enjoy them. And it's not saying we won't open more city centre venues. We will look at those options as well.
So Ian, if you're watching, Newcastle is still on the cards.
We'd like a few more suburb venues and to try and build that I guess local vibe.
Yeah, to double down on what Wayne had said there, we've absolutely learned a lot through this venue here. We tried Leeds and the results have been mixed. But this, particularly through the pandemic and seeing how everybody kind of got together and they drink local and the people who were drinking in urban centres pre-pandemic, now they're going straight home and they're drinking in places like this. So we want to have more places like this.
Yeah. So when we I don't know if anyone has been to our bar in Pock, and if you haven't, you need to come down and try it out. But we signed the lease in December 2019, launched at the back end of, I think it was, I can't remember if it was January or February 2020. And Joanna, who's also in the room, had the amazing role of trying to keep the place ticking over during lockdown. And you guys obviously again came out and supported us, bought lots of cans to drink at home, bag-in-box and stuff. And
I'm going to say, when you can only have like
it's not supposed to
3 barrels and 6 seats outside.
eating pork pies and
Free coats.
Joanna supplies
exactly.
plenty of hot water.
Hot water bottles, exactly.
I didn't remember that bit. Maybe I didn't know that bit.
So it was really good, and we tried to sack Joanna, but we couldn't get rid of her. I'm only joking. Joanna's been amazing for us and helped us here, and then went into semi-retirement, and then came back to us to help in the sales team, which is great, and then built up a platform for Don to take over from. Well, Daisy as well was here before Hanley, so we. Not only has Pocklington helped us with the bar, but it's helped us in our other parts of the business as well, from providing the workforce to keep coming, helping us out. So we're very respectful. So anyone else in the room who wants a job at Brew York, we need to.
We have another question over here.
Are you looking at keeping, when you say you're looking at opening new ones, keeping them within Yorkshire or going further afield?
So we've been asked with the new bars, would we be looking to do just Yorkshire or further afield? Initially, I think we'd want to keep it closer to home, so we would be looking more Yorkshire. If we then did want to do another urban centre, like Newcastle or something like that, then yeah, we're not saying it's off the cards, but we want to have things that are closer to us that we can have a better handle on. But another change will be we would probably bring someone in who would sit above all of that. And then be closer to it than we currently have the time to do.
Yeah, and it's not all about Yorkshire, although we've now put Yorkshire, capital of the North, on all our cans and all the rest of it. It's as long as it's close enough for us to make sure it runs as well as we'd like for the immediate future, and then we'll start looking further afield. We're not going to go out. Well, I'm not going to rule it out. We're not going to go to London next week and start opening a bar. But
I've just got vision. Did you remember that Hill and Pierce sketch? Yorkshire Airlines.
I'm just circling around looking.
I actually bought my stepdad a while back a mug that said, "If it ain't from Yorkshire, it's shite." So, given the fact that probably everybody online is not from Yorkshire, we should maybe move on.
and Pete's doing the prompt by pointing at the can of Biscoff on.
Oh, we need to drink another beer apparently. Whose is this one? It's mine. Right. So now we move on to the latest in the Tom Coco series, that being Biscoff Tom Coco. So for the uninitiated of you, Tom Coco is a milk stout that we have adulterated with coconut, cacao, tonka beans, and vanilla. Tonka beans are part of the pea family, and they have a flavour of somewhere between kind of marzipan and almond and sour cherry. They're a very unique flavour, originally used in kind of the perfume industry, then it made its way into kind of high-end cuisine, and then more latterly it made its way into beer. And this time we've added some caramel character, and we've tried to recreate the flavour of, and I can say it because I don't think I'll get sued over this video, we've tried to create the Lotus biscuit blended with the Tom Coco milk stout. Oh my god, that smells good. If I may say so myself. Right, excuse me while I have a little taste. Oh, wow, that is good. Yeah.
If you do so
If I do say so myself, yeah. Do you know what it tastes like to me? And it's not quite like Biscoff or Lotus. You know the Angel Delight, the Angel Delight butterscotch. Yeah, and I absolutely love it. In fact, it's the only Angel Delight I will have. It really has that kind of character going on.
Angel Delight.
Yeah, well, you know, I like an Angel Delight. Not so easy to find these days, but yeah. Yeah, that's good. I'm probably supposed to tell you more about the beer. I'm enjoying.
Just enjoyed it and said that's good. That's what I'll do. There's the tasting notes done. So I've been doing this beer quite a few times on tastings recently, so I kind of know it quite well now. Does everyone like Biscoff biscuits? Not like we're doing trademark infringement. But one of my favourites is
No, we heavily researched this. Biscoff is not trademarked. It's only if you say Lotus that you get in a problem.
Well, at least we're not talking about toilet roll or whatever, the kitchen roll that they do then. Is it a different Lotus?
I'm utterly lost, as I imagine most of the audience are at this point.
So yeah, exactly. So I really like these biscuits, and I like the fact that Sal doesn't like them so much. So I get to eat two every time. Should probably talk more about the beer, shouldn't we? How much have you said about Tom Coco?
Well, let's do a little bit of the history of it. So when the original version of Tom Coco came about, it was September 2016. It was originally conceived as a collaboration with the York branch of Camera for the York Beer and Cider Festival, held that September. And it won Beer of the Festival in its first outing. After that, we then released a second version, I think it was around the August the year after, and that was at Leeds International. And that was the Imperial version. That was the first time we stepped up to 7.5% like this. And I think for us personally, that level of strength is the best balance of flavour and alcohol.
So I think that pretty much sums it up for Biscoff, the Biscoff one for me. Biscoff's an intense flavour. If you like it, hopefully you'll love this beer. If you don't like Biscoff, you're not going to like it too much. But the body and the balance and everything else of the beer is probably the right level for me for this series of beers. And I don't say go and drink 10 pints of 7.5% beer, but I just think the 7.5% beer has the right balance of the mouthfeel, the flavour, the alcohol. It just works quite well. And you go out and have maybe 2 or 3 halves of this, and you've had a good night. And Bob's probably coming in having 3 or 4 pints of it, I'm guessing. But, I think the 7.5% version works really, really well. So this year, when the duty laws changed, I thought the first thing the brewers were going to do was take this to 8.5, and they didn't, which is really good because we haven't had time to refine the process to get the 8.5% how it should be.
I don't want. No, that was my choice. I don't want to move it to 8.5%. As far as I'm concerned, the 7.5% is the best iteration of this series, and we've just added a different flavour perspective on it. I don't think you need that extra alcohol. It just works at the strength of it.
So next year, if we bring out a variation of Tom Coco called Imperial-ish, we can do the 8.5% version just to see what everyone else thinks. I think that's the other thing we can and hopefully will do more. I'm pretty sure the beer fly just jumped into
Bob, if you could commit to like 36 pints in maybe a 5-day period, then yeah, maybe we can do.
Joanna, do you want Bob sat in the room with you selling beer?
He'll be up for a job in about a year. Yes, absolutely.
So this series of beers, it's been very successful for us. We launched through that. We did Imperial. We've done cherry, salted. Too many variations to barley, s'mores, inch s'mores, Biscoff, which is this one.
Salted caramel.
Salted caramel. That's the one I was meant to say. I think we're probably into double figures now in terms of various iterations of this series of beer, and we have won so many awards with this beer or variants of this beer. And I think the pinnacle was probably, I can't remember the year, I think 2020 maybe, when one of the barrel-aged variants of Empress won the UK's best barrel-aged beer in the World Beer Awards. And that was amazing. I was part of the judging panel, and I was not for our beer. Sorry. I was in attendance. Yeah, that one needs to win. Yeah, quite rightly, you are laughing. I was in attendance when it won that award, and I was judging different categories. I should have said that.
He was sat opposite them, like.
And
smell the coconut.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I mentioned it is because we're nobody compared to the people who were in that room when I was doing that judging. On the table next to me, they were judging our beer, and there was Frank Boon of Boon fame, as in Belgian sour beer producer, largest sour beer producer in Europe, and he's on the table next to me, and he's arguing with some guy about whether our beer should win or not. Because they were talking about the beer with Tonka, and I was like, well, I know which one that is. And yeah, just to have that guy have our beer, our name in his mouth, it's like, that's Jesus. Wow. And we didn't win, unfortunately. He got shouted down by someone else at the table. Oh, we didn't win overall. We won UK. We didn't win overall. We could have done better if Frank had fought his corner harder.
So yeah, every time Lee was trying his beer, it's like, nah, it's not very good.
No, well, they are epic. But anyway, yeah, just to be in that room with those people was an incredible occasion. And to come out, we came out with 2 awards actually. We also got UK's best sour at that point in time for Goose Wars.
Oh, Goose, yeah. So Tom Coco's got quite a soft spot for us, and we will always brew different variants of it. We're just trying to make sure that the right version of it is in the right format. So I don't quite think Keg pulls off the low strength version as we'd like to. So the cask one has a better body, just tastes better mouthfeel because you're serving it warmer. And people aren't always waiting for the Keg version to warm up, so it won't quite taste as good as the cask version does, which is why we decided that we don't really want it pouring all the time in Keg anymore. And this version works really well in Keg and cask, because even though it's colder, you still get all the flavours coming through, and that's helped by the extra alcohol, and that's pretty much the balance of it. So the body works better because of the extra alcohol. The tastes still come out, and we're not saying that we'll just only brew 7.5% beer plus of this in Keg, but it's going to need to be a little bit stronger than the 4.3% of Tom Coco.
Okay. Do you want to do questions first, Pete, or do we go on to what's coming up?
Oh, tell you what, let's talk about what's coming up and prompt the audience to send some more questions through.
Okay.
So,
well, there's also a few things we need to revisit. So we shared some plans with you, and then we were asking for some feedback on what people want us to do next year. Have you had anything on that so far?
Not much, no.
We have a troll through the comments, and we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So in terms of what's coming up next time, if we look at the beers, first of all, the beer you were supposed to have this month, Stone Crowed Fest beer, so our Marzan, released in time for the 2-month anniversary of Oktoberfest. We've then got When Lemons Give You Slime, which is the green-coloured Halloween lime and lemon sour. We then have Reddy Kruger, which is the cherry guava and marshmallow red-coloured Halloween beer. And we conclude with only one of our Christmas beers. So you will have 3 of our Christmas beers in next month's box, but we're only going to be tasting one of them live.
Is that guaranteed, or are we going to maybe go for that one?
Up to you. I figured.
So 5.8.
I figured we can't do sour, so I dropped dreams. So you think we conclude on that?
Yeah. So you guys tell us. So we're going to do the Fest beer 5.8%. We're going to do 2 Halloween beers, which are both 5%, and they're both sours. Different types of sours, so don't worry, it's not all Sour Fest. And then we're going to conclude on a stout. So you tell us, do you want Fairy Tale at 4.9 or Nightmare at the new 8.5%?
Yeah. So
Nightmare. For me, it was a no-brainer. I was looking at this as it could have been Nightmare, isn't it?
What was I thinking? Well, yeah, I think we're pretty much agreed on that. So therefore, your additional beers will be Fairy Tale, the 4.9 milk stout, which this year is stroopwafel flavoured. And you'll also have the sour Dreams of New York, which is cherry, apple, and cranberry this year.
And if you're a gold member, you'll also have the elusive
Barrel
Aged Nightmare,
which is the gingerbread version.
12-month barrel aged gingerbread, which we had, unfortunately, this is what happens when you barrel age beer. We filled 4 barrels full of Nightmare last year, and one of the 4 barrels soured, so we had to ditch it. It's like 1/4 of everything we put in. So it happens, and it's an unfortunate byproduct of doing barrel aged beers. But normally you guys don't see it. It's not as noticeable, because some of the other ones, when it happens to, they're not as hyped up and regular, so you won't, well, it's a barrel aged version of something. I didn't really like the original beer. Well, Nightmare is the beer that we sell so much of every year. So that when we lost 1/4 of the batch of the barrel aged Nightmare, and we'd already pre-sold a load to export on the other markets, unfortunately, it's us who have to take the hit, and we can't sell as much on our website. So there is still barrel aged beer out there. A certain online web store who's based in York, who has 2 bars in York, might have a very lot of it. If you
Membling Travelers.
but there's loads of our other regular customers who have it as well. So it's not that it's not out there. There's just not much of it out there. So yeah.
Your sales team are too fast.
Exactly. Our sales team are too good now. They sell everything before it even come out.
Yeah, and we can hardly pull them up for that, can we?
Lee, what barrels did we put it Nightmare in?
Nightmare, I think it was Heaven Hill Bourbon.
Oh, Heaven Hill.
Yeah, it's certainly bourbon. I think it was Heaven Hill. Yeah. I'd have to double check on that one.
Viking DNA?
Viking DNA is in tank as we speak. It has been brewed. You will have it soon. So Viking DNA is the very first Brew York beer. It's one of my original homebrew recipes. And we are going to have it available in cask and can this year. And a small amount of keg, but it's all been sold to Sweden, I think.
Well, there's not
Sam
available for
Hartford.
Daz because Daisy's going to drink it all again.
Daisy, formerly of here and now of Handley Tap, once had a 12-pack that was meant to make it to her dad, and she drank it all herself in one night. One can, yeah. But if you ever needed an endorsement for what an amazing beer that is, and how sessionable and continually drinkable it is,
What's the flavour of secret this year?
So it's not necessarily
Viking is back to the original. It's the Beechwood Smoked Malt.
So one of the things, if anyone is super geeky and obsessed and remembers everything we ever did, we once brought out a beer called Magni. And Magni was actually an imperial version of Viking DNA, and it was our first ever imperial stout, and it was really fucking good.
Imperial
Porter, Porter stout, smoked potato tart. Not quite, but it was really, really good, and I'd love to bring that back. So maybe when we get to 8 years old, might be a good beer to. Oh, what's our birthday next year?
Seed planted. Yes. Right, okay. So that's the beers. If we look forward to events you can find us at in the next month or two. So the kind of calendar has wound down a bit.
I'm literally flying to Norway on Thursday.
And I've not even put that on. Well, you know you proofread this. You are free to add stuff to
You
it.
said it today and I was driving. I couldn't read it. So I'm off to Norway on Thursday with our wholesale manager to go to a festival called What's Brewing, which is Lervig, who we brought down to our 7th birthday this year. Sorry, they invited us to. It's a really, really cool festival. One of only, I think, 3 breweries from the UK pouring at it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm hopefully going to get a lot of inspiration on some of the crazy stuff we can't brew anymore unless me and Lee give it the green light. So let's hope we give it the green light.
Cool.
What else we got?
Beyond that, so the next YouTube will be in our Leeds bar. It's going to be Thursday, the 12th. Thursday the 12th. I've only put the dates down here, not the days of the week. So 12th of November will be in Leeds. You won't necessarily find us there, but a major event that's coming up in York that we're supporting, as in where the principal beer supplier to it is Yorktoberfest, held at the racecourse. That's been held across the weekends of 20th and 21st of November and 27th and 28th of November. So that's 4 different lagers plus one cider, all created by us.
That's one night. We've got Golden Eagle, Osprey, Karma Chameleon, Unbelievable Hef, Stone Crowed, and Big Apple. So it's 6 different beers and ciders pouring. So it's a Brew York bar, which is awesome this year. And you can drink it in steins socially, obviously.
And they've got loads of cool entertainment, including various drag acts, which I'm told is the flavour of the moment. We got the outfit sorted. Well, yeah. I don't need much.
I was thinking the hair.
So we've got a couple of live music. Oh, no. We've got a couple of live music acts coming up at Hanley. So we've got 26th of November and 1st of December Hanley sessions. Tickets are on sale now. If you want to go on our website, you'll see those. And then 8th of December, it's Lee's. You wouldn't believe it. It's Lee's 45th birthday, and we're going to do it at Hanley Tap and do a YouTube session there. So.
Yeah, so I want to see you as many of you there as possible. So yeah, I'm giving up my birthday to come and enjoy a YouTube with you guys, which will be no chore at all. It might be for my wife. I don't think she's too happy that I want to do this.
And then the 12th of January we mentioned earlier, which is the subscriber party down at Warmgate, and we'll also be doing a YouTube live session from that as well. So we say things are dying down in terms of events. There's loads of events. They're just not quite as frequent as we've been going to.
Guys, just a quick one. You mentioned the York Oktoberfest. It's actually October, not November.
Oh, did I say November?
You did, yes.
Apologies. So 20th and 21st, 27th and 28th
Of
of October. Yes.
Hence why it's good. Well, to be fair, Oktoberfest is actually September normally. So
Thank you for that correction, mate.
yeah.
A little bit sooner than I may have let on. So have we got any final questions, Pete, before we conclude?
We do indeed. Here's one.
From the prolific Emma Thomas, you've been very active tonight. With Guilo using your brewery to break into the UK market, is there any room for other foreign breweries to be able to brew in the UK on your kit so we can drink them?
Well, Lee doesn't know this yet, but I've been talking to one or two others. Well, we have our own capacity challenges. So, spoiler alert. Yes, we're going to do 2 more. No. We do have approaches.
I will see you afterwards.
Yeah, we have approaches all the time, but we have to be careful about what we commit to. We talked about our signature range and how we struggle to fit that in. So it's hard to bring another brewery's brands onto our portfolio. But never say never. There are opportunities, and we'll always look at them.
I mean, for me, it's an honour when somebody thinks that much about your capability that they want you to produce their beer. I mean, that's a very, very big reflection of where you're at. So that was a true honour when Guilo did that. But any request like that has to be measured against our own interests. So if we are struggling for capacity, it doesn't always make sense to do something for someone else when we can barely keep up with what we need to do for ourselves. So providing we have capacity there, we'll entertain things like that, but we have to have capacity.
So it sounds like our sales team are getting too good.
Okay.
Cool. Here's another.
So Daniel Sawyer, how did you get the Biscoff flavour to work in this beer? An extinct local brewery tried to make one using the actual biscuits. It would either make it too oily or make the mash too thick.
Well, we literally stood and crumbed the biscuits into it. We didn't. We just ate the biscuits while we were pouring a bit of flavour into it. The more we thought about it, the more it tasted of it. But no, we use we've never shied away from the fact that certain beers we brew use natural flavourings. This is one where there was no way of doing this easily. We needed to use some sort of flavouring to enhance the Tom Coco backbone. So Tom Coco, at its base, is all natural. So we use coconut, cacao, vanilla, and tonka, all from source. But whenever we do a variant of it, it's going to get lost amongst all that's going on. So we need some way of making sure that you can taste what we say it's going to taste of. So this is a Biscoff flavouring with the rest of the beer.
Yeah. You used one appropriate, not excessively. We walk where Omnipolo kind of led. Things like, if you think about nuts, peanuts, and so forth, there's no sense introducing an allergen when introducing that allergen all it would do is endanger people, and for the most part wouldn't even recreate the flavour that you consider to be your peanut. So you need to use an extract, an essence, to demonstrate that flavour properly.
So that was succinct. One more. Any plans to revisit the Emperor's collab? We don't need to revisit it. We have it. It's in barrel, but we just aren't ready to release it yet. So we need to make sure that we're ready to release that. So we do want to brew that beer, a fresh version and release the barrel aged version, but we hopefully won't have as many challenges as we had with the original version we brewed.
Yeah, it'll come in time, and the time when we release that beer, we'll give you the full story about the nightmare it's been trying to produce that beer.
And I'm just going to shine the camera on the room just one last time in case we have any questions in the room. That's all for waiting the layout. We got hands.
You go first, Steve. That's very kind of you, Alan.
So off camera, we've got Steve. Was that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just this tastes so much better now that I've been holding it for
Warming it up.
20
Temperature.
minutes.
Yeah.
If that.
Waiting for us to stop talking.
Yeah, well, I was hoping. Is there any way that when it comes out the keg wall at -5 degrees or whatever it is, that it could actually come out at a temperature where it's going to taste really nice straight away?
It's a really good question. So basically, from at home, the question is, how does Dom make sure that he doesn't serve the ice cold? No, it isn't that. So how do you make sure that when people are drinking the stouts in the pub, they still enjoy them how we're enjoying them now that we've had time to warm it up?
I always try and tell them they need a pint to drink while they're eating.
This is exactly what I was going to say. So I think Bob on my left has learned quite well now. You buy your stout, your imperial stout, as soon as you arrive, and you drink your lower strength beer, and you leave your stout to warm up. But that's not practical in most situations. So it works perfect. But unfortunately, the reality is that to dispense the beer, to get it from that pressurized keg into a glass, the beer needs to be cold. But to taste and enjoy it, it needs to be warm. So, armpits. Get it in your armpits. Unfortunately, it's either a patience thing, or but there's no way to dispense the beer in a keg at the right temperature to enjoy it, like you've said. That's why. Well, yeah, exactly. So the only way around it is cask beer, which is why Tom Coco at lower strength works much better on cask. 7.5% Imperial Tom Coco or Biscoff Tom Coco would work very, very well on cask. But you just need to make sure that, because it's going to be very expensive, the customer's going to be willing to pay that for it. And I think certain venues, I mean, here I'm sure we would, and our own venues, but we just need to make sure we can sell enough of it to justify the extra workload to the brewers to put it in that
I just realised I didn't have the comments visible for the entire stream. But well, thank you, Carrie. I see you.
Lee's been reading all the comments.
You booked the hotel ready for my birthday bash. Excellent. Thank you.
How Kerry has.
Can you brew for Russian River, please? It says Alan.
Interesting one, actually.
Jesus.
That's one of the breweries I've been talking to. No, Charlie, our friend who's a brewery consultant who we work with, he's actually really, really good friends with the guys at Russian River.
Yeah,
So,
he knows Vinny.
If we ever wanted to do something Russian River related, I'm sure he'd be able to.
He does their brewery audits, doesn't he?
So he basically comes and does our brewery audits to tell us what we could and should do, and he also does the same thing at Russian River. So that's a pretty impressive caliber of clientele, Brew York and Russian River.
But I mean, even if they don't want to brew with us, if they want to send me their recipes, that's great. Yeah, I'd be on board with that.
So one more question before I rush down to get a pint of cask.
I think Alan.
Can I just say thank you for being in Pocklington, because it is creating a community within this pub that a lot of people enjoy coming down to, and it's thanks to you lot for coming in here to start with, and we really appreciate it.
No, thank you guys. You guys like it, so thank you.
Thank you, Alan. So that wasn't so much a question as Alan making a heartfelt endorsement of what we've created here, and that's very much appreciated. Thank you.
No, we appreciate it. We want to do more of this. We want to come out more often, and we just don't want to interrupt Dom's run. So, Wednesday night food.
I think now we've committed to getting out on the road and doing this more often. I think we'll strive to do 2 a year, and we'll at least do 1 a year.
More than that, Lee. Come on.
No. It's
1 a week.
Oh, and I'm the one that says too much after a few beers.
You've got to start down 2 extremes.
No, I'm thinking we already have 5 venues. We add 1 more. That means every 6 months we can be in each place twice.
What we need to do
So
is just
I think twice a year is a reasonable commitment. We'll try for that. We'll guarantee once a year. We'll be
what we need to do is make sure that Morris, our new local beer.
Are we going to question?
Whoa!
Receiver just died.
All right, the receiver for the other microphone just died. So
Right, we're swapping mics.
good job we're about to finish.
Oh,
I think
and now the audio started coming through on that again. The audio. Oh, Pete, I won't worry about it. It doesn't matter, 'cause
we
I
need
think we're
to wrap
about
up now.
Wrap it up
We need to
now.
wrap. Sounds like it's time to wrap up. So, huge thank you for everyone at home dialing in tonight, watching us. Huge thank you to the audience today, and to Pocklington and Dom for hosting us. So, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. And one final thing, in case people hadn't noted yet, our birthday bash tickets are on sale. It's going to be Friday the 19th, Saturday the 20th of April. We are going to have, I think, 8 different breweries alongside us. And I think about 6 of them are confirmed now. Anyone wants to buy me a pint? I might tell you a few of them.
Cheers, guys. Thank
Cheers.
you. Thanks, Pete.